everybody. No mahari mai. Welcome back to the Up2 Podcast with Jack and Morgan. Really excited about today's show because we've got a really cool guest on today. And someone I've looked up to for a long time, someone that, had a massive impact on my life and is still currently. So I'd like to introduce the one and only Raniera, aka Plantbasedmaori. How are you, bro?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks, brother Jack and Morgan. Happy to be here. And yeah, bro, it's been definitely some time since we first connected, and it's just been a joy just to watch you grow and just sort of grow into the person that you are and sitting next to your darling. As I know, a big part of the reason why we connected was some of those challenges around finding yourself, and particularly around relationships and things of that nature. So my brother, it's just really awesome to be here and just to try and provide value to you both and to your guys' listeners.
Yeah, kia ora, bro. That's awesome. Yeah, because I mean, like for us, we connected the first time down at your Growth Gains workshops. What was that? 2019?
19, I think, bro.
2019
now.
Yeah, a couple of years ago. And those were awesome times, bro. Those workshops were on as. For anyone that doesn't know about these, Rans did these Growth Gains workshops back in the day, and they were like personal development, bro? Like personal developments, and it was awesome as, and that was like massively transformational for me those times.
I thought it was, man, I'll tell you what, like it really buzzed me out. Because I got to a point in my journey where I really did want to sort of help people in sharing what had, I suppose, worked for me, in terms of I started to see myself as, I'm starting to make these gains. I'm starting to grow. I'm starting to see things a little bit differently. I've been able to sustain really good habits, and things were just starting to play out, and I wanted to really bring everything together. So, and I'd been thinking about it for some time, and I remember I was just in my office where I was at the time, and I just started writing on this board, and it ended up being like a 4-week sort of growth gains workshop kind of format, where there was one workshop for 2 hours every week for 4 weeks. And I provided the catering, and every week had a different sort of theme that we covered. And I put it out there, and I was very overwhelmed by the response, but more so particularly from you, bro. It really did just, it was a very humbling moment to know that not only was my journey reaching further enough for someone to travel, 3.5 hours, 4 hours from Auckland to Whakatane just to immerse themselves in what I had to share. And the bro didn't even have anywhere to stay. So I was like, brother, like, bro, I appreciate you coming, bro. Like, you can stay up, we'll post you up at our whare. And that's what we did. So, it was really awesome times.
Oh, I'm gutted that I haven't been able to, experience that, because I've heard Jack firsthand talk about those workshops and share some of the knowledge that you've shared with him to multiple people. So it's kind of that whole, follow on thing where you inspire one person, they go on to inspire the rest. And I just think that's awesome. And are you still doing those?
The gangster goosebumps, like literally goosebump material. But that's when I think about, when you think about legacy, purpose, and what do you want your life to mean, when it's all said and done. And I've always had this image or visual in my mind around just being like a stone just dropped in a still lake, how that just creates ripples. And that's why I just believe we don't necessarily realize how far those ripples can go. And the other realization to that is that whether you decide to do something good or not, you're still creating ripples. So it's about how do you want those ripples to be. And it's just, and I'm like the recipient of people being able to provide that for me. I look at so many inspirations in my life and star seeds and just these amazing experiences that have just given me so much. So it's like you almost feel, I wouldn't say there's a sense of responsibility to share that, but there's a desire to. So it's been an awesome journey since then. And to answer your question, Morgan, I haven't done any growth gains, but I have moved into an online space where I do te ara hau, and it's it's an online space, basically similar to Growth Gains, but it's just anyone who's keen on that growth and wanting a space where they can nurture that, where they can heal, where they can, you know, find commonalities between other people and listen to their stories and I'm just there not necessarily as like the principal or the teacher, but I'm there just as a part of that ecosystem, that space where we all feed into, where we all cry into, where we all laugh into. So that's what it looks like, and it's starting to grow, and it's an awesome space.
Made the goosebumps now. Like, that's definitely joining up.
That's beautiful, bro. And I reckon like it's mean, you know, I've seen a few of your like testimonials and stuff, and bro, people are saying awesome as things, and I think it's just beautiful that there's someone like yourself running that space. And for me, at least, like looking back and reflecting on your workshops, like, bro, you're the perfect person to be facilitating that kind of space and sort of like provoking thoughts and doing that sort of thing. So that's just, amazing, bro. Good stuff.
Thank you, bro. And the online space is incredible, you know, being able to connect with many different people from many different walks of life at different ages. But for me, it really is about that human connection and being able to see people in the flesh and to feel their spirit and to feel, you know, who they are and their stories. And so that's what I really look forward to. And we do wānanga, we do weekend wānanga twice throughout the year, where it transfers from this digital space to like actually in-person space. And that's where the real foundational work starts to happen. And it's just every experience has its own beauty in it. And so, I just really look forward to those moments.
It's amazing, bro. Yeah, definitely doing things in person is like, hits different, Hits different. 100. You're mixing together. Yeah, hard. Mean, bro. Well, I'm keen to ask, like, what sort of like provoked you, bro, to sort of go down the path that you've been down the last, you know, wee while now? Thinking back to maybe when you were like a young fella, what were some things that brought you along on this journey that you're on now?
Yeah, when I think about when I was younger, there was, you know, very much so just going with what was happening. You know, there wasn't really much intentional decision making around, if I do this, this is going to happen. It was, all right, let me just do this. It wasn't even like, let's see what happens. It was like, all right, I'm just going to do this. And that eventually just led into all these other things, you know, working at a local surf shop, and I loved it. It was awesome. Partying almost every weekend, you know. I really looked forward to, and I looked at their life and I was like, man, this is on. You know, it was a good time, you know, not Monday or Tuesday though, but the rest of the week was good. But it eventually sort of started to move into, you know, more challenges as you start to get older. It's not about just going home and crying or trying to, you know, get comfort from parents. It was more so, man, this is really hard for me at the moment, and I don't know what I'm up to. Like, I don't know how to be in this sort of situation. And it really just started to unfold around relationships, and particularly broken relationships. When you know, when relationships would fail, that's when I was just really hard on myself and didn't necessarily know how to talk about it, didn't know what even I was feeling, you know, like it was a different kind of pain, you know. I've lost, you know, whānau, grandparents, even a friend in high school, but that kind of broken-hearted pain is something completely different. And at the time, I just thought my only option in order for me to try and get over this was to run. So I ended up being like a massive runner. I ran from problems. I ran from anything that made me feel uncomfortable. I wasn't able to, I didn't have the strength or the courage or even the awareness to know that sitting in it or talking about it was the thing to do. And it ended up being a common thing. And so that's what ended up starting me on this journey. And what I realized is that the relationship where I started to notice these bad habits forming within myself, it repeated itself, in the universe or God has a way to repeat mistakes if you choose not to learn. You know, so the exact same thing started to unfold where I got hurt. I knew that I was hurting this other person, but the two main lessons that I got out of it was that my cup wasn't full. I was trying to give from an empty cup, and I was expecting love in return to fill my cup.
Right. Yeah.
And that was the common theme where when I didn't get it back, I was just like broken. I was like really hurt big time because I had nothing for myself. And the other thing is that I was giving, thinking that it would help, but they weren't necessarily vibing with what I was giving.
Yeah. Right, got you.
It was, you know what I mean? So there was a disconnect between what I wanted and what they desired, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was just a really challenging space to work through that. And so moving on from that, I was like, man, I just got to look after myself and fill my cup up and understand, you know, what is my role in these unfortunate circumstances. It's easy to play the victim because you get comfort, you get people to understand where you're coming from. But we very rarely talk about, this is where I messed up. This is what I done that led to this unfortunate situation. Yeah. And so I needed to be honest and truthful about my part and my role, and not only forgive them, but forgive myself. And this is where my healing and my growth and my whole journey towards being better started, through these sort of valleys of challenges.
Cool.
That's beautiful. I think it takes one sort of person to have that self-awareness to recognize that things aren't working for you. But I think it takes another level of kind of strength to do something about it, to change those ways, rather than kind of getting stuck down that rabbit hole, you know, like, which you can get caught up in. It's super easy to, like you said, with the victim thing, you do get that comfort, and you know, you get everyone around you trying to support you. But for you to support yourself, I think, it's just incredible.
That's wicked.
Amazing.
I'm just with it, eh?
Hard. You with it, bro. Hard out. And I think as well, like, even in those uncomfortable, you know, like, for people that could be going through heartbreak and all that sort of things, or if they're wanting to better themselves and they're not enjoying, you know, maybe this uncomfortable feeling that they have about themselves, I think it's also probably fair to say that even taking the step and growing in the way of, I'm going to do things better for myself now, like, would that, you know, that start part, I'd imagine would also be pretty uncomfortable too, eh? Like, I could imagine people thinking, but once I do good, you know, it'll be good from here. But stepping into that space or challenging yourself to going, I'm going to better myself now, I'm going to grow. That'll be probably a bit uncomfortable and scary in itself, eh?
Yeah, 100%. And I feel, you know, moving from one state in terms of feeling unhappy to just automatically just feeling joyful, you know, it might be a big step to some people. And for me, it definitely was. So it's about, you know, where I want to be is happy and joyful, but let me work my way back. Like, what's a step that I can manage? You know? I'm feeling upset. Like, how can I just sort of like feel okay? You know, and then from okay, how can I just sort of like feel a bit grateful? From there, how can I start to sort of like dream a bit bigger and get excited about life? And so it was really about, I'm big on momentum. You know, you can't just go from 0 to 100 just like that. You have to build momentum and take those steps, and patience is a big one. And I was very lucky at the time when I was going through things, when one of the relationships just ended, I had made a decision that, man, I'm just going to go traveling. And I went traveling with one of my best friends, you know, a few months later. Yeah. And that was really something that I felt just helped me big time. You know, and I know that not much people have that kind of opportunity to do that. But for me, it was really what helped me, because I was just doing me. I was filling my cup up. I was out there. I was in new cultures. I was meeting new people. I was with one of my best friends, and my best friend is like woke, you know, so he was feeding me all of these podcasts and these different books, and I was reading on the way, and the dreams that I started to have in my mind, they felt so touchable, you know. They weren't, because when you're feeling upset and down, you think about being better, but it's just so far away. You know, but when I was traveling and I was feeling good constantly, man, it was just like, wow, it's like right there, I can do anything. You know? And that's where the belief started to grow within me, was going through that experience too.
And doing it with someone, you know, like doing it with your best mate and stuff like that, and someone who's, it sounds like their values sort of aligned with yours. In a sense, you're both kind of on the same sort of journey, on that same sort of purpose. Is there anyone else in your life that had a massive impact on you, like on this journey? I'm sure there were heaps of people that were supportive and, you know, were happy to make this change alongside you. But is there anyone in particular that had that kind of oomph there, you know, to give you that push to do what you wanted to do?
Yeah, there's a man comes to mind. His name is Marcus Akuhata Brown, and he's a very incredible human being. When I moved back to Aotearoa after my OE, I just wanted to work with young people. I really did. And that was something that I wanted to do when I was in Australia. And I was even going to study over in Aussie while I was living there. But I went to go and do this pre-work test, and it was a simple like A, B, and C, D and answer to the question, and I failed it. Like I didn't even like get it right. So I was like, oh, my mana was like diminished. I was like, man, I can't even do this. I can't even be a youth worker. But then when I was traveling, I was like, nah, stuff it, I'm gonna do it. So moved back to Aotearoa, and I just honestly rang up the Whakatane District Council, and I got a meeting with the CEO. And in that meeting, I just sort of laid it out. I was like, man, I want to work with young people. And he couldn't necessarily do anything for me, but he gave me someone's name. And that person's name was Marcus Akuhata Brown. And funnily enough, he was actually in Whakatane 2 days later, and he was doing a keynote at one of the learning facilities here. And I went there and I just listened, and I was like, God damn, this fella is next level. Like I couldn't believe how amazing this fellow was in terms of how he spoke, his experiences. And he actually has he created a kaupapa called Tuia, and it's a nationally wide recognized space for young people, young Maori leaders who come together from their communities.
Cool.
And so I ended up being a part of that, and I started to meet other young Maori who wanted to contribute and do good things. And from there, that's where I started to work with young people. I started to volunteer my time.
Cool.
I started to go and work, volunteer in marae, working with young kids in schools. Started to do volunteer work here around Whakatane, and that eventually led into me getting paid mahi at times. So it all just started to unfold, but this one man gave me that pathway. But even more than that, he challenged me immensely around, you know, why am I thinking that way? Or he'll just drop little hints of wisdom that still stick with me today, you know, resource for his vision. You know, he was like, oh, you want to work with young people? Okay, here it is. He gave me an opportunity to work with young people nationally, and he gave me the responsibility to lead it out. And I crumbled, you know, big time. You know, he took me on speaking gigs. He was like, oh yeah, you want to speak? Yeah, come and speak here.
Why is that chuck you in the deep end?
He was just chucking me in the deep end because he was responding to what I was expressing. And he was testing like, okay, you know, you're saying one thing, but can you do it? And so he was putting me in these environments that was really nurturing, like, do I actually want to do this, or do I have the capacity to do so? I remember this one speaking gig, we were over in Melbourne, and there was a big auditorium, and there were just kids in there. And on this speaking trip, I was speaking first, and then he would come and just speak up. But I only had like a 5-minute slot to introduce him, really. But I would get up, and I was failing every time. Like I was just trying to over deliver, you know, to make him proud, or to sort of like do my part. And this one time in this auditorium, I got up and I was just trying to talk, and man, I just saw people having conversations amongst themselves, and I just went mute, you know. I just stopped. Like my biggest fear, or any person who does public speaking's biggest fears, is to not be able to say anything. And I ended up just sitting there, and it was dead silent for at least 2 to 3 minutes. Well, that's what it felt like. And I was just looking around, looking down at my shoes, and I was looking at him, and I was just bro, didn't know what to do. But the only thing that came to my mind was bust the haka.
When in doubt, bust the
haka. I
just
honestly just done a haka out of nowhere, and I was like, man, you might remember me for not saying anything, but I can guarantee me doing this haka is what you're gonna remember. So I busted that out, and I just put my tail between my legs, and I just sat down. And it was those kinds of environments. And we went to another school after that to do the exact same thing. And he asked, like, do you want to get up? And I was like, nah, like I can't, like I feel I feel shame. I feel vulnerable. I feel I've let you down. Like, these are the kinds of thoughts that I was feeling. And I was swimming in this shame. Like, I was just really feeling bad. And before we went in, I was like, no, actually, I'm going to get up, because a thought came into my mind that if I don't stand, I don't think I would have been able to again.
Right.
I don't think I would have been able to get up and have the confidence to speak in front of people if I don't get up and stand right now and face it.
Yeah.
And so I got up, and, the thing that I spoke about was my truth. I spoke exactly what had happened, and I just talked about me standing up right now to overcome, that challenge or that fear.
Yeah.
And it ended up being the best one that I had done. But the biggest lesson taken away from that was it's just about being truthful. It's just about speaking from your heart and not trying to over deliver or trying to project or be this certain thing. It's just speak what comes to your heart and just know that that's going to be enough regardless of who's in the room. So that man has had a profound impact on my journey at the very beginning because of who he is, what he was able to provide, and just being around closely to him.
Yeah.
That's
man,
awesome,
that's
bro.
beautiful.
Hard. And it must have been real scary for you to get up there that second time. But I reckon as well, like, the audience members would have thought that was gangster. And I reckon they would have thought that was mean to hear you just go like, yeah, I whatever you said, but just reflecting on what had happened, I think that
and we had a big crack up. Like, after that talk, man, he couldn't stop laughing really, like, because he was trying to hold it in, because he sort of like looked and he was like, because that was the thought that came up was, you wanted to speak, well, here it is. And he even said that when we were cracking up. I was like, fuck, I can't believe I did that much. Like, man, I feel like gutted. But it was a moment of growth for sure. And doing it in front of someone that you highly respect was, very, very, it was something that I'll never forget. And it's helped me so much in my speaking moving forward, because I've already been at the worst end.
Yeah.
I've already felt what that feels like. So now it's like when I get up, I'm sweet, I don't mind who's in the room, what's going on, as long as I speak from here. That's all I need to do.
Yeah, because public speaking for myself, I love the idea of it. I'm like, yes, I love public speaking, but when it comes to it, and I'm standing up there because I do like MC and stuff for work, and I'm standing up there with the mic, and then all of a sudden I realize where I am and how loud my voice is over a microphone, and that panic kind of hits, and you're like, oh, okay, I said I really wanted to do this. I wanted this opportunity. Now that I'm here, that's kind of that real, that real feelings hitting. But I agree. I think people love seeing that vulnerability and just going up and being like, I'm really nervous, but we're going to get through this one, like however we need to do it. But yeah, it's a lot bigger than what people kind of think it is sometimes, but it's cool that you've challenged yourself to do it. And I'm sure, as you said, you look back and you're glad that you took that step and actually went there rather than kind of shying away from it and running away again. I reckon that's,
I heard this, I think I may have been on a Joe Rogan podcast. Was it Joe Rogan? I can't remember, but there was this theory around why we get, super nervous in front of crowds. And they were saying that there could be something to do with our ancestors, right? And when we get up in front of a crowd, we get nervous because back in the day, and this applies to multiple different cultures, but back in the day, you would go up in front of a crowd usually for a negative reason. It might be like they're going to shame you because, you know, you did something bad in the tribe or the village, whatever that is. And I remember thinking that was real buzzy, and I was kind of like, damn, that's almost a good thing to know though, because if you're like aware of what your anxiety could potentially be, at least for me, that kind of makes it easier. And I thought it was just generally like a real interesting thing because, yeah, I'm a firm believer that, you know, we have deep rooted things within us that are from, you know, our tipuna and all of that we still feel today. And then having that sort of theory or hearing it, I was like, wow, that's a real cool way of thinking about it. You know, like potentially it could be from, back in those days. But
I feel that, you know, I feel our ancestors and our tupuna are definitely with us. And there's a saying that I heard from Matua Che Wilson, and he said, no mai te rau kotahi, right? And what that means is like when, say, one person comes onto the marae, or like I say, a small ope or someone, he was saying that on one side, say the haukainga, and you see one person, they're not actually seeing one person, they're seeing that person and all that they bring. They see their mauna, they see their awa, they see their marae, they see their whole iwi, you know. So, and then in another way that I've heard it is from Dr. Maya Angelou, and one of my favorite podcasts is with her and Oprah Winfrey, and there's a 2-part podcast, and it's one of my favorites when I need to like get in my feels and get back into my heart. That's the podcast that I go and listen to. She talks about, I don't come as one, I come as 1,000. You know, because you're standing on the shoulders of your ancestors who have laid so much out for you. Yeah. You know, we're living the lives that they saw us, that they visioned for us, and they're not even here to see it. So it's just about how do we stand strongly knowing that we aren't ever alone. And that's why our identity is so key. I was having a conversation with a friend, you know, and we're sort of talking about how identity, and if you know your identity, you immediately end suffering. Wow. You know, because being grounded in who you are and being anchored in that, despite what is going on externally, there's this comfort and the sense of home and knowing of where you are and that sense of belonging. So it really does diminish some of these things like suffering, pain, depression, you know, and understanding that we are ancestors already. You know, like there's a kōrero that goes, he rangatira hau, he mokopuna hau. Oh no, he mokopuna hau, he tipuna hau. So that sort of talks to us being grandchildren, but also ancestors in the one life. So it's really about understanding, we're receiving all of this knowledge from our elders and the people who we see to be ahead of us, but we're the ones who are going to be passing that on to our children and to their grandchildren. So don't just live as someone who is receiving, also live as someone with this responsibility to live a life of purpose, of meaning, so that may be able to transcend to the ones who are coming behind us.
That's beautiful. Like Morgan and I were sitting on the couch the other day watching your podcast with Nedek, bro, and when you two both spoke on that point, like that was actually the first time I had heard of it, and I was just like, wow, that's such a cool way of looking at life in today's realm. And I totally agree with you, bro, in terms of knowing your identity and how that can bring, you know, balance, a sense of being grounded. Because about 1.5 years ago, I was working with this client at Mahi, and we were doing it was quite an important meeting, and there was a series of them. But on the first meeting, we kind of did it, and this client was Maori as well. And the first meeting was kind of like Pākehā styles, right, in terms of how it was operated and things like that. But the second one, we actually gave the client, you know, do you want to do our opening karakia today? And like, honestly, she just lit up, you know. It was like, oh my, like I'm getting goosebumps now thinking back on it. It was actually just surreal seeing how much by, you know, almost giving her, it is giving her the power to acknowledge herself and her culture and all that. Just genuinely changed the whole room's energy. It changed like the process of how we did things in such a positive way that the outcome was probably the best it could have been. And yeah, it was just such a beautiful thing to witness, and cool. Just was a real big reminder for me of just like, man, this is really, really important, and to keep, keep yourself in check with everything like that too. Because I think it's easy as to get lost in, today's society. It's not really catered for us to be able to really, I think, sort of knuckle down on maybe how we want to do things in terms of how they did things in the past and stuff like that. So keeping yourself in check and making sure that you're upholding that whole belief of, we're ancestors now too, for the future.
Yeah, and it's also it's more so in a inspirational kind of way. It's a thing that sparks the sense of, man, there is more to life, and there is something that we can work towards. And if we can ground ourselves in knowing that everyone is a gift, and the simple understanding that you are a gift, and really nurturing that and going in and being like, man, I might feel like I have nothing to give or provide value, but we just got to know that, man, our very existence is enough. And every single person has a part to play in this grand orchestra. Not everyone has the ability to speak or to create podcasts or to be a creative, but man, people who just sort of like wake up and abundantly happy with what it is they got to do, and they don't compare themselves or they don't judge themselves. Once we get to that, that's the true ecstasy of life. And I haven't nailed that. You know what I mean? But I am really driven to aspire to have that. Right. And I don't get upset with myself when I become a human and fail, or when I'm a human and judge myself, but it's just moving into building that relationship with ourselves, how we think about ourselves, how we communicate, the language that we're using, all of these different things that make us who we are, help us connect well to other people and to our passions and the things that we get to do in life. And that's all I feel my life has been anyway for the past, half a decade. And it's been incredible on that journey of discovery and exploration of that.
That's mean. What do you, just actually thinking on the topic of, not going hard on yourself, if, not the negative self-talk, and not sort of letting that take charge. And when you do make a mistake, like what have you done for yourself, bro, to keep yourself in check in that space, and to be able to not maybe fall back into old ways, or, to not judge yourself too hard out? Like, what have you done to implement that sort of way of thinking?
Yeah, I'll talk about a recent one, and that was when 2 months before baby arrived, I pulled back on pretty much everything. I pulled back on mahi, I pulled back on pretty much all the responsibility that I had, apart from a few things, just so I could be present with Hine Pānia moving through this. But going through those few months, man, there were moments where I was just like, what am I up to? I could be doing so much more. I could be doing so much more with my time. I could be doing this, I could be doing that. And I just felt that I didn't have this drive to do anything extra. And I started to think about, why am I thinking like this? It's taking me away from being present, like all of these kinds of things. And I ended up arriving at this realization is that, bro, I'm doing this because I decided to, I'm not here because it's been forced upon me. I chose to do this. It was an intentional decision to minimize my workload so that I could be here and just try and be a good husband, so that we can welcome our son together. That was like the focus and thought. And so when I was having those thoughts, it's like, actually, why are you having these thoughts? This is what you decided. And so that's when it gave me that realization again, is that all the experiences that we have in life, whether it's good or bad, it's being drawn out through what we're thinking about, the actions that we're taking. We are responsible for the majority of the feeling states, the spaces that we find ourselves in. So it's, again, looking at yourself in that mirror and not blaming this person or that situation because of where you are and how you're feeling. And when you can understand that and be like, actually, nah, I thought about this. I don't want to be here, but I actually thought about this. I didn't want this to happen, but I remember thinking about how much I didn't want it to happen.
Yeah.
And now it's here. It's sort of like that law of attraction, that we attract what we want and what we don't want. It's not biased to the yes or the no. It's just really signaling to the emotion that's attached to what it is. So that's been like a really awesome space where I'm trying to grow more awareness around that whole space there, so that it can not only serve me, it's just so I can definitely, I guess, be more playful with it.
That's beautiful, bro.
I was just thinking then, and I'm like, you're so inspiring. And then I'm like, I wonder if you ever like switch up, like, is there any times where it's just too heavy and you just need to switch off and have fun? And I'm also wondering, do people always come up to you for advice and to look for inspiration, just, random people that you meet because of who you are? Or are you able to kind of be like, because we as youth workers will have people kind of offloading, stuff onto us and things when we're not at work, and we've got to be really clear on being like, boundaries and all that sort of stuff. But how do you switch off? How do you go, okay, I've inspired so many people today, or I've created so many opportunities, now I kind of done for the day? What do you do to switch off from that?
Like I'm big on really showing up, but then I'm really big on like chilling. Like I'm not really aggressive and being at home and like, fuck, I got to do this and this. Like once upon a time, 100%. Like that was 100%. Like a couple of years ago, that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to be online. I wanted to just do my mahi. I wanted to have this grand checklist that I just wanted to get through. My whole, I'd honestly say the last year and a half, definitely the last year, I've just been really fascinated around balance. Like what does balance look like, for me? And it's different to each and every one of us. But for me, I started to think about, what are my values? What do I prioritize? Family, business, health, connecting with others, all of these different kinds of things. And so I've been playing with what that looks like. And my relationship is a very high value of mine. And me hard out being at mahi, it takes away from their quality time. And so my way of sort of turning off is, just being with Hinepania. My way of turning off is like legit doing nothing. I could be doing nothing for legit a couple of weeks, sometimes even a month. But in that time of doing nothing in terms of output, in terms of doing mahi for other people, I'm still working on myself. I'll still wake up and do gratitude. I'll still, try and train, or I'll be more conscious around what I'm doing. And if I'm not doing anything here, am I doing more presence with Hinepania? So it's, I look at it in that way. I'm never not just sort of actually doing absolutely nothing, but I look at, where's my energy taking me? I know I should be pulled in this direction because there's something that I need to grow into, but I feel I don't have the capacity to do that at the moment. Maybe I just need a rest. Maybe I just need to be here. I don't know if that's sort of the right approach, but it seems to be the most fitting for me at this point in time. And so I like to just sort of turn off. We're watching, Celebrity Treasure Island, because we missed the boat, so we're just thrashing that at the moment.
Oh man, have you not finished it yet?
No, we're not finished it yet, so we're just getting through it. And sun's in now, so we're just really into that. So I've fallen off the waka with my training, so I'm not perfect, man, but I really do like just being me. And there's this persona that I've created, the brand of plant-based Maori, and being thought thinker, plant-based, anything that's around that space, like that's the persona that I have. And when people come up and they want to talk to me about certain things, I'll happily step into that. Like the way that we're talking, I could talk like this every day. It's the thing that lights me up. But I like being playful, and I like just cracking jokes and crossing the line with some friends, but that's just what the circle of friends can see me as, because they don't see me as this person. They see me as like this little jokester, this charismatic kind of cat. So I like it when I can dance between these personalities that I have.
That's ace. And it sounds like what you're also doing is consciously allowing yourself to take those breaks, or to just be like, all right, I'm going to focus on this. Because I was thinking about other people in that sort of situation. And even though, I what came to mind was like a businessman who is taking time off to be connected with the whānau, but might be preoccupied with thinking about the business stuff or the stuff he's missing on. And so maybe he's not actually consciously allowing himself, when it comes to the relationship of him with himself. But it sounds like for you, bro, you're really consciously allowing that. And maybe that's something that it's kind of key to take note for others, and that if you need to switch off, or if you need to take a break, and not to feel bad about it, because at the same time, what I was hearing is like, it sounds like you're filling your cup up in those moments where maybe it's slightly depleted or a bit low, and then you fill it back up. And then I'm pretty sure it was you, bro, where I got the saying from, but when something like, you do things for yourself to keep your cup full, and you give others what your overflow is.
100%. Yeah. So that's what it does come down to, is filling their cup and just having the awareness around it. A business person, man, their cup is full by just smashing business. And they give the overflow to their family, and that's okay. People just have different things that make them tick, and success, they see success different, they see their lifestyle differently. And it's just about getting very clear on what do you actually want your lifestyle to look like. Like, do you want it to be like the Gary V's, the Tony Robbins, like these athletes, the LeBron James? Like, do you want your life to actually be at their pinnacle level? Or would something that's probably 100 or 10 levels lower, is that something that's going to fill your heart? And if so, just work to that. Just work to those kinds of levels and thresholds that actually makes you excited and makes you feel content. And once you get to that level, you might see those shiny objects and be like, oh, actually, I'm keen to go to that. So, just look at it and what's reasonable, what's realistic for you at this current time. For me, with the arrival of our son, man, it's just straight whānau. I just spoke to Hine Pānia last week. I was like, this is the happiest that I've ever been. This is legit the happiest that I've ever been. We're in our whare, we get to do what we want to do. We've got our beautiful son. Like, this is mean. Anything extra is just a bonus to what this is. And my mindset has always been like, we got to go there. Like, we can do this if we just do this. Like, it's always been around, how can we grow and develop, whether it's our lifestyles, whether it's our relationship. But Sun has just brought everything into perspective and be like, bro, this is what matters. And this is just the season that we're in as a new family. And we're really just in our little container and bubble. And like, we've just started back at mahi, but everything is now just feeding into what we have now. And there will eventually be desire for more, but where we're at, we're like, nah, let's just enjoy this, And we don't want to lose no moments of working with one another to capture these moments with our baby boy. And we just feel so grateful and privileged that we are able to do that. Like, we don't have the tension or the struggles or the challenges around, we got to go here for mahi, you got to do this, you got to do that. Like, we have the blessing of being able to create, work for ourselves. It's not necessarily creating mega bucks, but it's legit giving us the lifestyle to be this way and to be happy and joyful. So for us at the moment, we feel like, bro, we've cracked it. More will come. More will come. But if we just continue to chase the rabbit and we forget that we just got this amazing gift here, who loses? It's him, it's us. So man, we're okay to leave that for now. We just sort of like be here.
Oh,
I actually love that, bro. It sounds like it's just bringing in so much abundance, for your whānau, and that's so cool. How's that process been, bro, with Pepe? I mean, congratulations. It's so amazing to bring life into this world. It's just such a beautiful thing. How's that whole process been going for you, bro?
Yeah, it's been an incredible way. Like it's hard to sort of explain, but it's such a deep rooted sense of love that is just out of this world. Like it's, wow, you've only been here for 3 weeks, but I'll do anything for you. You know what I mean? Like, I love you so much. Like, like I love you, bro. You know, like you're the best. You know, like you're legit the best son. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
So we're just in this like bubble of like, man, you're the man. So that's what it's been like. And to be fair, like I've just got heaps of confidence in myself around being a father, you know, like
bro.
Waking up and doing the things that need to get done, like changing his ass, or when he cries, like I don't stress out. Like, like I just know that when he cries or upset, there's only a few things that it could be, you know, like he's either hungry, he's either got to change his ass, he's either tired, or he's got wind. You know, so when he's crying, I don't stress out because I know it's not my fault. You know? It's not me. I just got to just figure out what it is, you know, and he's been so great, bro, where, you know, I've been able to, you know, Pania goes to mahi in a couple of days and it's just me and him chilling.
Cool.
Or I go to mahi and, bro, me and Pania just constantly ringing, like, how is he, you know? Sending each other photos, like, you know, doing FaceTimes. He's crashed out, like, trying to talk to him, you know? Like, we're just, our relationship has just gotten so much closer.
Man.
We're really finding moments where we can connect as well. So, you know, we'll put sun down and we'll just talk and we'll just hug, and we're just really making sure that we continue to keep our fire blazing while it's blazing around our baby as well. So it's been awesome just to sort of like develop into this new stage of life, to also see how our relationship is growing, and, you know, just so blown away by, you know, Hine Pania and just how she is as a mother. The sacrifice that she made, the pain that she went through, the, you know, just everything that she was able to do for us to have this miracle has been something that we haven't gotten over. You know, we just haven't gotten over it. It's just been like, holy shit, like this is half of you and half of me. It's basically looks like 90% me, but but it's honestly like a different feeling, but it's overwhelmingly good.
Oh,
bro, that is honest. I love that. Hey,
I know, I can't stop smiling. I've been grinning this whole time.
Just getting me emotional, bro. I was just like, oh, that's just so cute, man.
And what are you sort of most looking forward to in fatherhood? Like, there's, you know, a whole life ahead of your child. What's something that you've been like, I can't wait to do this with them, or is there anything in particular that you can think of?
There isn't. Like, I definitely can't wait to sort of like do the matches, you know, like I'm wearing a, you know, and they do like, you know, hoods and things like, so I'm looking forward to that. But more so, I really am looking forward to just being a student. Like, I don't see myself as being a parent and like, hey, you listen to me. It's more so, bro, you got to tell me like how do I do this? You know, like, what do you want from me? Like, the way that I see it, he is, when we think about in a spiritual way, you know, there's God, there's the universe, you know, he's so pure. He's like unconditional love. Like, this is the closest thing to source that we have. And so, and the more that I nurture that, the more that it'll stay with him, you know, and the more that I start to parent him and say, no, or don't do this, I strip that away. He starts to become more like how I want him to be. So for me, it's just being more aware around, you know, the way that I may give him love, he might want it totally different, and I need to be able to adjust to that. And just my main thing is, I might not necessarily be able to give him everything, but my focus is like his heart, you know, his character, you know, grounding himself in who he is regardless of what he decides to do. So I'm looking forward to how that plays out. And the other thing is just, you know, I can't even see what his life is going to be like. You know, I can't even see you know, what I'm looking forward to or what's going on. I'm just being so present and focused on what's going on right here. But we're very inspired by a few of our friends who really create experiences for their children. So they make time to go away for weekends and, you know, just go on trips. And it's not necessarily spending big money, but they just go and do this and that. And we want to be able to do that as well. So there's a lot to, you know, there's still so much that can happen. And we know we're going to make mistakes. We know that we're probably going to fail. We're going to get upset. But at the end of the day, we just know that our love for him is going to be the most prime. And he'll never, ever not know that he's unloved. That's for sure.
That's ace, bro. And he's got like two mean as parents, bro. Like honestly, you'll be an amazing father, and Hinipanya will be an amazing mother as well. Yeah, it's so cool, man.
And if you're listening to this, I'm your biggest fan, Hinipanya. So just wanted to throw that out there. No, but honestly though, seeing her smash those workouts while fully pregnant, I was just I kind of looked at myself and then I was like, okay, maybe if we have another one, then I'll start doing that, because at the time I just did not feel up to it. But seeing that is so inspirational, and just seeing the love that you both have for your son is just, Yeah,
she stopped at 37 weeks, I think. So,
wow.
You know, she worked right up there. And at the 38 and 39 week mark, she was like, man, I wish I carried on, you know. So
really?
She was just so keen to just sort of stay active. We went for a few walks in that, but yeah, she's incredible. She's got such a strong mindset, and I just got to do it. It's good, and then it's annoying, you know. Like it's like Noah's or slowing down is like not something she registers. Or but the biggest thing that I just absolutely adore around her is just her heart, man. Like if Hinipanya loves you, like holy shit, she will love you, you know. Like it's out of this world what that girl would do for someone she loves, in terms of, you know, I could just break my finger and I could be at the other end of the country, should legit drive down or fly down. Like, you know, it's that kind of intense love. And that's what I've always just really admired about her, because someone like me, you know, I love, but I've struggled with affection, you know. Like I hadn't been able to give her the affection that she's always wanted. And that was just me being uncomfortable, because in past relationships, I had to fight for affection. It still didn't come, you know? And so I felt like, oh man, I mustn't be worthy of it. But then I even go back a bit further, like, you know, my old man didn't show me any affection. You know, I did get it from my mama, but, you know, I've had these sprinkles of moments where I hadn't had the experience of being so loving in that way. And so that's been something that I've had to work so hard into providing that for her. You know, the first few years I just felt really uncomfortable, and it just really created some challenges within our relationship. But because I've seen how hard she loves, I'm like, man, I need to just get over myself and work through this, to the point where now, like, I just love giving her affection. I can do that now. You know, I can just give her hugs, and I can just sort of like handle how much she wants to sort of hug. You know, I actually feel out of it when I don't have it now. You know, and that's what we crack up about now. Is like, I remember it's like, because I would like spoon into her, you know, like I'm like a little spoon, like trying to wriggle in and like hug me.
Oh, bro, I know that's me.
So it's awesome how relationships sort of like change you in good ways, you know. And that's what I've come to learn through my relationship with Hinipanya, gone through a few, and her not, you know, my first relationship, is that what I've learned in this one, man, it's really about compromise. And it is about effort and energy, you know. So what I realized is that I got to compromise parts of me to fulfill parts of her, and vice versa. She's got to stop doing something so that it helps you know, and it's not about like stopping things completely, but it's being aware that you have to let go of things so that you may give more here. And that's what sort of keeps the relationship sort of in that space. Well, it's definitely helped us. And the other thing is effort and energy. When you have altercations where you just have a blow up and you have a row or you do something that triggers the other person, once you have a conversation about it, you have to implement it. It's not about saying sorry 5 times and then waiting for this to say sorry the 6th time. It's like, you got to stop apologizing and actually showing effort and growth in moments where you need to. And so that's where we went through was, all right, I started to look for the moments where I would once disappoint you. I'd be like, all right, I can see it now. I'm not going to apologize, but this is where I can be different. And boom, I'll step into that space and it's like, that's much better.
Cool.
So that happens, and then she'll look for moments for me, and it's like, sweet. And now we're starting to sort of create this harmony and fulfilling each other's needs, but also just being aware of what's going to make each other happy. And I think that happens when you really do apply that effort and energy into not only yourself, but also to the relationship. If you're just having the same arguments or creating the same mistakes, it's leading just towards a toxic relationship or starting in that. And we value our relationship so much that we're willing to go through those things, you know, make a few mistakes, talk about it, and like be like, yep, cool, that's where I stuffed up, and I'll work on that. So, and it's just been beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, bro, that's amazing. And it's cool that you guys can look back and reflect, because I think a lot of other people in relationships should do that, like should be reflecting more on things that they've done, because, you know, like you said, you can say sorry so many times, but at the end of the day, like the sorry will just wear off, right?
100%.
It loses effect and things like that. And to just step into that space of like, I'm going to do something different now, and instead of just saying something, that's beautiful.
And that's it. Like, it's easy to use words and saying sorry and say, this is where I need to do it, but you lose integrity, you lose substance, and not only with your partner, but you also lose it with yourself. It's like, man, I'm saying this, but like I'm not doing it. So where else is that translating in other areas of your life?
True.
And it's really about, man, you got to look for those moments, you know, like you got to spot it. And once you bring that to your awareness, that's where you actually grow. Like the way that we're talking about growth and we're talking about realizations, but this means nothing if you're not actually implementing it in parts of your life. You know, like you really got to search for it, or at least when it unfolds in front of you and you have the awareness, it's like, cool, there's the opportunity. You know, it could be as simple as like opening the door, or like putting a blanket over, whatever it could be. So it's really getting over ourselves, over the ego self, and just stepping into that service and that being space.
Hard. And I think a lot of people will actually find that, because I'm reflecting, you know, when you're saying all of this stuff as well, a lot of it's resonating with me too. And I think one thing that, when you do sort of spot those moments where it's like, okay, this is an opportunity to do something different, and you do that, and it works, it feels mean, like for yourself too. And I can see how it could easily, you know, you could assume, like, Jack, that won't feel better because, you know, it feels better me doing what I've been doing because I'm comfortable in that.
100%. And that's all it is, bro. It's just comfort. Anytime you do something that's out of the norm, it's a very tricky or uncomfortable sort of scenario and space. But that's the requirement of growth. It cannot exist while you're comfortable. You know, it's really about like, man, I just got to take this on the chin. I got to step into this fire. I got to stay in this fire and be willing to sit in it. And once we build that emotional capacity to do so, there's other things where I need to grow in that aspect. But for the most part, man, I'm just so willing to, you know, like you look at people, man, you look at your relationship and like, you love this person. Like, why do we struggle to not do things to make them happy? You know what I mean?
Hard,
like,
bro.
if you love this person, like, why are you not just at least trying to do something different to make them happy? Even if that means they're not making you happy, like that shouldn't even be in the equation. if we say, oh, you're not doing this for me, so therefore I'm not doing this for you, it's like kindergarten.
Yeah, that's
really low vibrational thinking, and it's not necessarily love. So it's like, all right, this is happening. I'm not necessarily comfortable with it. I'm really struggling to do this thing, but man, I do love this person, so I'm going to try. You know, and you don't ever want it to get to that point. When you're feeling good, don't wait for things to go bad. You know, when things are going good, that's when you amp it up. You give more affection. You search for more moments.
Double
to
down
stay
on
in that space to continue that frequency. You know, and I can't even remember the last time myself and Henepania had, you know, a blow up, and, you know, touch wood, but we really just do work hard to connect. And I'm not speaking in a way to boast our relationship. I'm just speaking in a way to the effort that we put into it.
Yeah. Oh, bro, well, thank you for being real open and honest about that. Like, that's beautiful. And I've taken away golden nuggets already from this conversation. And I'm sure loads of other people who are going to see this are going to also take away so much from it, bro. Because like I said, you know, I feel like you are the type of person who's like a master of golden nuggets. I feel like you've gotten yourself to a stage, at least to me. You're a master of those little golden nugget sort of times, and you drop those sort of truth bombs, and it's just like boom, and you really feel it, you know. But I think we're getting close to an hour. So what I'd like to do, bro, just before we wrap up the podcast, what are like maybe 3 things that you would suggest for somebody else that, you know, wants to sort of go down the life path that you've chosen and would like to implement, you know, a really conscious way of thinking and life full of more positivity, full of more abundance? What would, you know, maybe 3 things you'd suggest for them that they could do to start that journey?
Yeah, I'll just sort of like share the 3 things that I do daily. And I wake up, and first thing I do is I go outside and I just put my feet in the whenua. I just put my feet in the ground, and I just take in some breaths, and then I do a prayer. You know, do one in Maori and then one in English, where I'm just talking to the universe, and it's like a proper conversation that I'm just having that moment. And it could be like, I'm struggling with this, or this is what my heart's desire, and I'm going to speak this into existence, or I'm grateful for my family. Whatever it may be, it's just me sharing what's going on with me, and that just helps me to release everything and to welcome things in. And then the other thing I do is meditation, which I know is something big for you, Brother Jack, and I'm sure for you too, Morgan. But so that's me: grounding, prayer, and meditation. And those are the 3 practices that I feel just help center me, despite if I do extremely well throughout the day, or if I do absolutely nothing, I still feel like that's topped me up enough in my cup to feel like nothing much has happened, but I still feel good. You know, I don't necessarily demand too much of myself, and like I said previously, it's just the season that I'm in that I don't necessarily require too much of myself at this point in time.
Mean, bro, shot. That's on. I think meditation for me is something I need to I definitely need to tap back into that space a bit more. But bro, I fully feel you on the going out into the whenua and grounding yourself, because throughout this lockdown, like we've done that quite a few times. You know, we've sort of times of this lockdown have been, you know, a bit tough, and it's just like, man, I just, you know, you feel that urge to reconnect, get out there and things like that. But one thing that's really, really helped me out in that space is, going outside. And like, actually, I like to find a spot in the grass that's like, if it's wet mud, I want to like feel the, you know, it all run through my toes and stuff. And just, you know, I'm connecting with Papatuanuku and getting that energy to do that. So yeah, that's beautiful, bro. Is there anything else you want to?
No, I was in my head and I was thinking, man, it was so funny how nervous we were to talk to you. And then as soon as you started chatting, we were like so fine with it. But we were like beforehand, like, okay, we've got 5 minutes and stuff. But yeah, just a massive thank you to you, bro. Honestly, like I haven't had much of an opportunity to speak to you before. But just everything we've gotten out of this conversation today, I know I will take on. I know I will pass on messages to others and things. And I just think, it was an important conversation to have, and I'm just beyond grateful. I'm sure Jack, you're just buzzing.
I'm buzzing, bro. Yeah. Honestly, I was just like, just reflecting back on, like, even when you came to our the marae, bro, and man, I was just like, and it was gutting because, like, at that time, I think, because we were talking about it the other day, Bub, like, you had to go just
It was
before.
my birthday, so I had to leave, and then I was so gutted because I was like, the one person I wanted to see. But I think we said like a quick hi and bye, and then I missed out. So but this made up for it. Now I can actually talk to you one-on-one, and
next time Hinipani will be around more, so you
stop.
can catch with you.
Don't keep me excited for it. I'm already blushing.
But bro, hey, like, honestly, massive thank you for jumping on, and made our lockdown 100 times better, just by even being able to have this opportunity, bro. It's really, really something that I cherish, and I'm awfully grateful for, and something that I'm just grateful our listeners can even get a slice of, and bro. But before we finish up, where could people find you, bro, if they're keen to find you or get involved with workshops and things like that?
So main places just on Instagram, Plantbasedmaori, and also on Facebook, just under Raniera. But if you go on Instagram, there's a link into my bio for the online course for the podcast, Planting Seeds. And that's the space. And I think, just been very awesome to be able to connect with you both. And I'm usually on your side of the mic, interviewing other people. So it just feels nice to come here to unload and just to sort of just share where I'm at in life at this point in time. And if I was to leave anything, with your listeners, it's, just start that journey of authenticity, find out what that is and be unafraid of expressing yourself. I feel that's our biggest gift, is our ability to express, whether it's thoughts, whether it's art, whether it's creations, whether it's whatever it may be. Just really hope that people are open to going down that pathway. Bro, it's very challenging, right? There's a beautiful saying that I just live by, is that you must break down in order to break through. You can't just expect to always just be on this up. If you go down, just know that the next thing to do is to go up. And it's not about shying away from those bad moments. It's understanding that they're going to happen regardless, whether you choose a path that you want to take yourself that's going to bring you joy, or a path that is just the one that people say you should take. Right. No matter what path you take, there's always going to be challenges. So you may as well do one that feels aligning to you at this time in your journey, and always leave things open for you to pivot, to change. Right. And that's what it's all about. I'm not loyal to one thing. Right. I honestly give myself the freedom to just jump between things until I land on what feels right for me. At one point in time, it was the vegan journey. I was plant-based Maori, man. This is everything. This is what my life is going to be about. Then it moved into Planting Seeds, the podcast. And I was like, man, I love connecting with people. So I started doing the podcast, and then it moved into Te Araho, which is my online course. It's like, not only do I get to connect with people, but I get to share, what's worked for me, and so see people grow and seeing everyone implement these things, and it's adding value to their lives. That's what it's given me. But if I just stayed in this one spot where, I was, or even before that, I was a youth worker, even before that, if we just stay in that one spot or that one version of ourselves, we don't know what we're missing out on, So for me, it's like I'm willing to let go of parts of myself to grow into the higher version of my expression. And that's just where I'm at the moment. I'm battling these labels that I have in terms of being plant-based. Like, I'm trying to move away from even having that kind of stigma around me to just sort of be who I am. So I'm constantly challenging my beliefs, my values, because if we don't, how do we know that we still align to them? Because as we grow, we have more capacity to take in more, to do more. It might not even be a change of values, but it might be just moving our values around, right, that align with what we actually want to do, or what will give us that nudge to go even further. So just always playing around with these sort of things. And once I land on something, I just pull the trigger, or I try to anyway.
Yeah.
So that's what I would like to leave the whānau with is,
that's mean.
You don't have to necessarily take everything from my kōrero, but I just want to say thank you to those who have gotten to this point to listen, who have just allowed me just to express and talk about the things that make me light up and that give me a sense of meaning in life. So thank you to Brother Jack and to you, Morgan, and to your guys, kaupapa.
Oh, kia ora, my bro.
Anytime.
It would be mean, bro. It'd be mean once we're out of this damn lockdown to hopefully link up in person and maybe drop another one. Because I think it will hit different when you, like you said, when you're in person. It's just, you got your energies there, they're intertwining.
Right. Come down to Whakatane, bro. We'll do it in the studio.
Yeah.
And I really want to try some kai as well. I've seen the photos.
Come get some kai too.
Yeah, hard out. No, got to say that too. Anyone that is down Whakatane ways, definitely go through to the Papatoa food trailer. Whereabouts is it? What's the address of it again, bro?
136 the Strand, so it's just right in the strip
right
of
in
town.
The middle way.
And we've been pumping so far, so you have to come get it.
That's on. Yeah, go support whānau if you're ever down Whakatane ways, for sure. Mean, bro. Well, is that us?
That's us.
It's us.
Sure, man. Well, again, thank you very much, and bro, all the best with fatherhood and all the new challenges coming and blessings, and I just hope that it is smooth sailing and full of abundance and amazingness for you, bro.
And thank you both.
Alrighty. Leshgo whānau, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you all back here soon. Let's go.